the digital revolution. So with a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, let's start welcoming our stellar panel. Let's start by welcoming Rampal Singh, SVP Global Business Head at Hybrid Cloud, to please join us on stage. Let's also welcome Hybrid Cloud Application Operation and Mainframe Services at HCLTech. Let's also welcome Amit Talwar, Country Director, India Leader, AGCO Corporation. Let's also welcome Chandan Gupta, Business Unit Head, Colocation, Werks, Iron Mountain Data Center. Let's also welcome Nikhil, Sehgal, CTO at Colt, and also welcoming Rajesh, Puneyani, Vice President and Managing Director, Kenvue Solutions, India. And let's also welcome our lovely moderator. I see Rohan already there. Rohan, Lobo, partner at Deloitte, India. So that's our lovely panel. I hope I got all the names. We will be discussing, as I said, role of advanced data centers and technology as well. Rohan, the floor is all yours.
So good afternoon, everybody, and I'm back. Today, I'm quite privileged to talk about, the topic today is around digital revolution transforming GCCs through data centers as well as AI. But before, we go into the panel discussion, I'll talk about a small story. A 10-year-old came to me and said, what is the difference between technology and digital? And after 2.5 decades of being in this business, I was stumped, clean bowled. How do you explain to a 10-year-old what is the difference between technology and digital, right? So after a week, I went back to her and I said, technology is a scientific application of mind or a process or tools or technology or techniques to get an outcome. So she didn't understand that, right? So I said, let's explain it through a story. If there is a well and a human being is drawing water out of a well using a pulley and a rope, and they want to do better. So you go and put in, a windmill. That is the application of technology to solve a business problem. So if there is a raw material and it needs to be processed and you run it through a machine, it's the application of technology. But once you put a sensor on that windmill and you start getting data pertaining to, say, barometric pressure or the revolutions per minute or the amount of water drawn, then that is digitization. And if you just look at the potential in the world of what digitalization has and where we are today on this particular journey, it's incredible, right? So I have a toothbrush, which is AI enabled and is digital, which looks at the pressure I apply and checks whether I'm scrubbing my teeth or I'm actually brushing my teeth. This is the application of technology and digital, and we're going to talk about this today in terms of how it's impacting our customers, global customers, as well as GCCs. And maybe Rajesh, I'll just start straight away with you. 89% of companies in the world are digital first. 79% of them have some kind of an AI. The ER&D spend is going to be $3.3 trillion by 2030. How do you see the future of operations? How do you see the future of engineering, research, and development from a GCC standpoint?
Sure. No, wonderful. Good afternoon, everyone. I think we'll try and keep this as light as possible. Post-lunch is always a challenge, but I think the panel before us has done some sort of a job there. But Rohan, thank you so much, and it's a wonderful topic to start, right? Now, going back 2.5 years of my, decade of my experience, of course, in the infrastructure, service delivery, and operations, look at how things used to happen in GCC or the organization that time. Everything manual, everything SOP-based, everything ticketing-based. Issue happens, but the number of issues used to be very less that time because the quantum of infrastructure and application and the worldwide digitalization was very less. But everything was like, there's an issue, you just go and fix the issue, you move on, and then again, everything is a fire drill, of course. Fast forward, now obviously you look at what is happening in the world of digitalization through the lens of AI. No, we are creating products which are obviously self-healing. You are, writing products which are actually creating software applications on their own. You are actually creating the, the software engines and everything where the personalization of the user experience is being created. And you're talking about a lot of stuff where, the automation has taken shape. So what exactly has changed over the last, decade and a half, of course, using the AI and Gen AI engine is that now the mundane, repetitive, cognitive tasks absolutely, first of all, have been, sort of gone away. So that has saved a lot of bandwidth in, the world of GCCs and the technicians who are working. And of course, a lot of self-healing and auto-healing, those kind of opportunities which have come in. So that has actually freed up the bandwidth in which GCC people can now focus on creating the value from a business domain perspective. They don't have to necessarily work on solving small little issues every now and then. Somebody watching the monitor 24/7 to see issue happens, of course, they go and fix it. A lot of these things are taken care. Now, in the area of digitalization, now after that, you talk about, the product, you just give a specification, I need to create a software code, in a very natural language processing way. This software code gets come in. What the GCC individual has to do now is obviously plug in the business knowledge, plug in the domain knowledge. And that is where the overall needle is shifting, where the GCC is taking shape is the bandwidth which is being saved, 40%, 50% or 60% is getting into building, the value created product. They are building, a lot of automated product, lot of self-healing product, and more importantly, the focus has been now on the engineering, R&D, research capability. And I'll give my own example. The GCC that I represent, the GCC obviously is talking about creating the next gen AI product where exactly we are talking about the customer experience, influencing in some way, personalization in some way, before the even, creating a demand in the minds of customer. And when the demand is created, he goes to the store, the product is already there. So tackling things at the mental availability level and tackling things at the demand creation, tackling things at the supply chain operation level, all that is done because over the last few years of GCC evolution and the evolution of AI domain knowledge and skills, the whole marriage has happened in such a beautiful way that the domain engineering skills, the AI and automation and the kind of a knowledge that we have gathered over the last couple of decades of GCC is evolving. Now, this has created a perfect storm or perfect ecosystem for GCC, not just to focus on mundane tasks, not just to focus on traditional activities, actually focus on creating a value with, and we just talk about GCC through the lens of 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. Now, this is, we can put our own numbers. We are into GCC 7.0, 8.0, but this is a strategic point in GCCs where obviously we are called the transformation hubs, we are called the strategic value creators. All through because, the Gen AI has crept into the day-to-day operations of GCC and, writing code is not just about writing code. Writing code is all about adding the business logic, adding code about, creating a chat GPT kind of an interface on top of your, HR applications, business applications where the business users don't have to look at, the dashboard. The actual dashboard gives you the intelligence and you can query the dashboard in a natural language processing. That is a kind of an application and that's a kind of a filtration that, the Gen AI and the larger digitalization has created in the GCC ecosystem.
And this is happening right now, right?
It has happened and it is actually now accelerated much more than, and right now as we speak, the GCCs are actually thinking about the next level of evolution in terms of what exactly more can happen so that the software engineering is not just software engineering, it is actually software transformation we are talking about. Integration, cyber security, next level of predictive and preventive ways of running the operations and engineering, not like reacting. Because by the time you react, the business would have suffered, losses would have been incurred, and the goodwill would have been gone down the drain as well. So it is all about how the applications, engineering, infrastructure, everything is all about now getting into a preventive mode, getting into a predictive mode, getting into more of proactive mode rather than anything else. So I think this is what the digitalization has done for us.
Perfect. Ram, I think you're in a vantage position to look at what multiple clients across the world are doing. So what are the technologies that this team and we need to keep an eye on? And what are you seeing in terms of the impact of that?
Thanks for having me and good afternoon, everyone. Really pleased to be here. I think Rajesh covered many of those things. And I would try to take it to the next level. Right? So I think number one, AI and ML has been there, right, in some shape and form for a number of years. Right? What's really happening is Gen AI has put it back on the spotlight. Right? Your last few years was all about SMAC, largely on cloud. Right? Now that focus has been moved from cloud to Gen AI. And now Gen AI is also moving to the next stage, which is agentic AI and general artificial intelligence level and all that. Right? So number one, what is the difference between AI and the agentic AI? Right? So AI is fundamentally, if you really look at the nature of AI, it's deterministic in nature. Right? So you need to tell it, right? You need to write that algorithm, design that algorithm like, cause and effect fundamentally, right? X scenario is there, Y is the response. Right? So there is no element of cognitive or it's very limited. So when it comes to agentic, it's all about cognitive. So how you can really make AI behave like a human, fundamentally. right? So let's say there is a new issue in the IT operations environment, right? Which never occurred before, right? Totally new in the nature. Now you can just give the documentations. Let's say something is happening in cloud, right? Network interface is not failing. You can give all the documentations to Gen AI, and agentic AI would learn on itself and would fix that issue for you, right? You don't need to write the code for it. No, everything would happen on its own. So all those capabilities in terms of self-healing would go to a very different level, right? So far, like if you really look at IT operations, they were like 40 to 45% of the automations, like in terms of incident management, change management, service request fulfillment, RC and all that. Gen AI is now posed to take it a very different level, like 75% to 80% of the task, now we are able to manage leveraging Gen AI, right? So only thing which would fundamentally left out in IT operation is no interaction with the customers, right? So there is no lots of non-ticketing work also happens, right? It's not just about like just fixing the issues, right? That work would be left out, and that also once Gen AI, agentic AI moved to general intelligence level, that also would be taken care by machines fundamentally, right? A wise man said some point in time like Gen AI is like cats and dogs, right? You will see fundamentally everywhere, literally everywhere, right? So in all sphere of IT operations, in all sphere of business operations, SDLC, and how you interact with your consumers, or how consumer interacts with business, right? So there is a front-end AI and there is a back-end AI. Back-end AI is all about IT operations, right? In terms of how do you really make incident management, change management, problem, RCA, right? Like if you look at each and every product in the market, let's say if you look at Terraform, Ansible, Siebel, Oracle, you will see Gen AI, element of Gen AI everywhere, right? So they will build that capability. They don't have any choice. They have to do it, right? If they need to sustain in the market, right? In the same way, when it comes to service providers and GCC, there is no other choice. They have to make it part of core IT operations, and you can really make people or human. You can utilize human capital in a very different way, make them work on more productive stuff rather than working on the mundane task. But it's not just about the mundane task now. Also, lots of value-added tasks would be taken care by Gen AI. That's why Gen AI is moving, right? So, number one.
So I think the key takeaways is, we're moving from artificial intelligence to artificial general intelligence, which means that it's nearing the cognitive capabilities of a human being, and then artificial super intelligence, and then autonomous artificial agents that are powering up further artificial intelligence agents. But what I am keen to understand, and actually maybe this is a question to Amit, is he talked about 75% productivity benefits, which means that in 100 resources, 70 resources are no longer required. You only need 30 resources to do the work, and the remaining is done by digital workforce. But at the same time, our statistics as of today is only 15% of Gen AI use cases actually reach production. So how do you balance the present and the future, and what do you think is hampering the integration of some of these technologies?
Thanks, Rohan. Great question. I think this is a problem that all CEOs are today battling with. We have so many pressures coming in from top line, bottom line. People want us to change the business, and I completely agree it will. It will change the business, but there is a process through which we need to go. One, we need to prioritize what we are working on. I think everything cannot be put into a hopper and say, this is going to change the business. We got to prioritize. Yes, you have sponsorship because the CEO is sponsoring it with the leadership team. But if you don't prioritize, what would potentially happen is we do a few POCs, and then, suddenly the focus changes. Is this external? Is it going to impact my revenue? Or is this internal? Is it going to give me employee experience? So we need to create that balance between an external and internal, especially when we are prioritizing what we work on. Second, let's democratize it. I don't think there's a bunch of only 50 people in the organization who are the AI experts. It should be open to everyone. Let's democratize it. The reason when we democratize it, it takes away the fear that this demon is going to come and take my job away. I want everybody in the organization needs to be able to understand at a certain level what is expected from them. AI is going to change the way you're going to work. But if your organization is not ready and still thinking in an older standpoint, it will not be able to give you the benefit, and then you'll find more and more POCs dropping. The third is sensitize. Create a basic level of understanding of what this tool is. Increase the level of the education that people have. This will help you in establishing the culture that failure is fine. A lot of us are scared of failing. A lot of the things that we will do, we will not work out when we try to do it. So when you build that culture, people are willing to take the risk and they befriend, not be afraid of what this is. So there's no fear of missing out. And the fourth is recognize. You must recognize successes, small, big. And if you can do that, by doing all of this, you will make sure that at least your workforce, which is your core component of a GCC, that is going to be the centrifugal point. I agree with my colleague here that it's about tech, but tech is not going to work if there are no people to make it work. They would have reached that level of maturity and understanding that this is okay to embrace. Let's change the way we work and that will impact. But at the same time, we must never forget that these are not AI capability centers. These are global capability centers. This will be work that has to get done today. There will be support, there will be services, but if I open it up and give everybody an opportunity, it will create that energy in the organization that will help us to move forward.
Can I add
Yes,
one?
please.
No, absolutely, totally agree. But there is another point, right? See, we are talking about, let's say, 75% efficiency coming in. Now, that efficiency could be coming in from one pocket, but imagine the kind of new capabilities are being created in the organization from technology point of view. New features, new interfaces, new applications and all that. It's all about how do we intelligently redeploy, repurpose, reskill that population, which is going to be sort of quote unquote impacted by the 75%, and see how that can be repurposed for the larger. See, the GCC tech ecosystem is anyhow struggling for talent. We are all vying for the same sort of a talent pool, right? Now, if we absolutely have to be very smart and creative in this way, we have to make sure that we just repurpose, reskill, upskill those people who are going to be impacted. But that impact has to be there for us to start working smarter from a research point of view, from the innovation capabilities point of view, and building new applications, new capabilities, more global capabilities. For that, we have the less talent. So internal organization has to repurpose and redeploy their talent. So it's not a, it's not a problem of talent being impacted. How do we minimize that impact by repurposing and redeploying the talent?
Yeah, exactly. It's actually, I think we should look at it as an opportunity rather than a threat, right? So it's a fundamental mind shift. If we start looking at an opportunity, right, there is a great opportunity to repurpose, right, and upskill the existing workforce and unlock the human capital as part of it, right? So human is meant to do high value added work and not really all those mundane tasks like reporting and all that. There is nothing right in those tasks, right? But we are always fearful of the change, right? That happens by default. That's the nature of human. Right?
So I guess if it's like change or perish, because if you don't change or bring these technologies, there's nothing stopping an AI remote, hometown team going directly to the parent and sorting out the process over there. But Nikhil, you're representing an industry which has seen this kind of extreme automation, which has been a pioneer in AI adoption, has seen this journey through, right? How are you seeing,
Right. Thank you very much, first of all, Rohan. And hi, everyone. Let me give you a very simple, yet a profound truth. Every revolution in the human history has been powered by connectivity. Whether it was the Silk Road, which kind of connected the civilizations, or the internet, which connected the minds. Today, I think all of us, we're talking about digital revolution. We're talking about transforming GCCs through advanced data centers and AI technologies. But before we delve into the specifics, let me ask a question which is going to be on connectivity. Okay, out here in the audience, does anybody know how much a gig of bandwidth in US costs? How much does a person in the retail market has to pay for a gig of bandwidth in US? Anybody has any idea about it? Okay, let me tell you, it's $5, okay? And how much does it cost it in India, a gig of bandwidth? 15 to 17 cents. So look at the difference and the affordability of bandwidth that we have in India here, which is, again, a central force. We have, with the GCCs in India, we have close to about 700 million people who are connected. And out of that, 150 million, 120 to about 150 million are connected on 4G and 5G, where latencies are less than 10 milliseconds. I think one of our fellow members who just spoke just before us was talking about real estate. I think this is where it all gets down to. Providing affordable connectivity to people. That kind of becomes the first foundation for any digital revolution. The second, I think you touched upon, and I think you also touched upon, Rajesh, it's about people, right? Again, let me just throw another question. How many STEM graduates, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, the brains which are behind AI technologies, behind every, I would say, revolutionary technology, how many STEM graduates does India produce every year?
You can speak loudly and guess.
It's 2.6 million. 2.6 million STEM graduates are created, graduates in India every year. And 50% of them are from deep technology. So we talk about AI, ML, we talk about blockchain, we talk about data analytics. That's the second foundation of digital revolution. Third, one of my fellow friends, I think, we talk about advanced data centers and cloud computing, right? Now, in India, especially, which is there for leveraging from the GCCs, we have 150 plus data centers powered with a load of about 900 megawatts, which is supposed to get doubled in next 2 years. The piece around the cloud computing, so we all talk about storage, we talk about, we talk about the fact that the enterprise applications are accessible, we talk about compute when we talk about cloud computing. Now, these becomes the fundamentals on which AI can develop. Now, let me just now probably spend another couple of minutes talking to you about the AI use cases that we have seen in telecom. Basis the foundation that we've seen out of the GCC here in India. Now, we've seen about, I think, with the advent of telecom and technologies in the past, one of the use cases that we all have seen around is traffic engineering. Again, back in the day, some years ago, there is a router which has enough data to understand which is the path that I need to take basis latency, quality of service, I don't know if there is disruption. It's already there. Each one of us is using it. And that's how we are able to probably communicate all across. The second use case that I'm going to talk about is about network capacity planning. And I'm going to simplify it for the people who are not from the telecom world. If you had to build a road system for a city, you are going to go about defining enough lanes, bridges, intersections, all the infrastructure components to make sure that you are able to keep up with the current demand as well as the future. And that is the same thing which is about network capacity planning in telecom. You need to make sure that you've got enough bandwidth, enough capability, enough resources to make sure that you're able to keep up with the current demand. Now, using AI, what we've been able to do is understand what is the demand, understand the market drivers, understand where the external factors are going. And that's how you are able to define those models which are going to tell you, okay, with the limited capex as all of us would have, where is it that you want to park your buck? Where is it that you're going to go and put your capacity for the future? Again, I'm going to probably pick up one more use case before I hand it back to you, Rohan, which is about supply chain optimization. Again, that's fundamental to every business that we have here. Now, again, piece around demand forecasting. NVIDIA, one of the biggies who's probably going to take over a very large part of the world, utilizes AI to understand the GPU demand, and that's how they source their raw material. People like Sony, for example, they utilize AI for their route optimization, wherein which route to be taken at the minimum cost in order to make sure that they can transport their raw material from their facilities in Asia onto their hubs where they get manufactured. So, and again, there are many more use cases that are there in operations driven out of GCCs, which are utilizing the AI technologies. But before I end, again, AI is not about machines, it's not about technologies, it's about people, right? It's about possibilities, what we can create sitting in this room. So thank you, Rohan.
Thank you. That was quite profound. Chandan, a chat GPT query takes 2.9 watt hours of electricity. A Google query takes 0.3 watt hours of electricity, which is 10x. So chat GPT is 10x. What are you seeing in the marketplace when it comes to data centers, and how that is powering use cases at companies?
That's probably the example which everybody wants to understand how to optimize it. See, right now this space is still evolving. We see right now, earlier being in the data center industry for almost 2 decades now, I've seen requirements where clients were looking for 3 kilowatt in a single rack. Now even 20 kilowatt looks less. People are talking about 50 kilowatt, 80 kilowatt. Now even people are talking about 120 kilowatt. To be honest, even as a data center operator who has all the skill set in the world, all types of cooling available, it has to stop somewhere. It can't be the way it is growing. Looks like there could be a megawatt in a rack in future. So I see we are taking up those challenges. We have introduced things like hybrid cooling and all. Most of the enterprises are also investing in it. Many of the customers, in fact, GCCs have their captive data centers. So this is a unique challenge, and we are yet to see how and where it's going to stop, and how can we make it more efficient. So whenever the data center discussion comes up with GCCs or anybody from AI, I talk a lot on algorithms. That can we make algorithm a little more domain specific? Does it need to be a very generic AI model where everything is under the sun is available on that AI model? Instead of that, probably we can make it more domain specific, and we can make it more sustainable. So these are few things which we need to take care of. And yeah, these are the trends, and we are up for it. As a data center operator, we are very much well geared up for that. But from the software algorithm point of view, I see there is lots of scope of improvement right now.
So I'm drawn to this conversation because I just heard Sam Altman of OpenAI, and he said, there are 3 pillars. You've got data, you've got computing, and you've got algorithms. And data is going to take you somewhere. Computing is going to take you 2x. But if you want 1000x improvement, it's going to be through computing. And the challenge really to the entire GCC audience over here and to all of us is, if various governments are going to pick on controlling power and controlling compute, the only thing in our hands in the future is going to be the ability to innovate on algorithms and become more efficient. So on that note, I think maybe, I know I'm a little short of time, but Rajesh, if there is one piece of advice you'd like to give to this audience or to any aspiring person joining the GCC sector in India, what would that be?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I'll say that because my son is just graduating from college, computer science. So this is same advice, of course, that I give it to him. Just don't focus on, the traditional computing or traditional software engineering and all that. Focus on the business. Focus on creating value through the domain knowledge and everything, because the rest of the stuff AI can take care. The GCCs will be distinguished and differentiated by the value that they create, and these are the the next gen of software engineers who will be coming in by adding value to their own profiles, by understanding the business domain and leveraging AI in the right way to create the value in the shortest possible way, because the speed to market is also going to be important. So these 2 or 3 things, obviously they need to just don't focus on traditional IT, traditional software engineering, focus on business, focus on value, focus on enhancing the experience rather than anything else.
So experience and determining what is value in terms of quantifiable metrics like revenue or wallet share or things like that. Amit, your views?
I would just say open to learn, embrace change, do not be scared of it. This is a friend that is going to help you always.
So be more human.
Be more human.
And Nikhil, maybe just a quick one.
Again, I'll just say probably 2 things, maybe 3. I think piece around making sure that we are able to carry the passion, tap into the aspiration, and make sure that we as people are more adaptable. I think these three would be mine.
Flexibility, adaptability, agility. Chandan?
I will keep it a little different. So generally, businesses are there to serve people, and technology is there to serve business. So the priority-wise, this should be the approach, whatever we do as a technical people or business people. So that is something I would recommend.
Well, we'll close with Ram from your
So I would just say, learn and adapt. Right? There is no other choice. And there would be huge opportunities coming outside of it. So we don't need to fear from it. We need to embrace it. And we can really make, good benefit out of it.
But still, in parting comments, I think the space to operate in is vast. India has 1,700 GCCs. If you just take the Forbes 2000 or a Fortune 2000, we've still not covered, maybe 25% of them. So I think the space is massive. It looks very promising. And with that, thank you very much for a wonderful session.
Let's not give 15 minutes back. I just have 10 minutes more, 10 second more comment, of course. No, so what I'm saying is that, 1,700 plus GCCs as per the official number from NASSCOM. I think all of us are creating something similar for our businesses, right? How can we continue to partner, share the best practices with each other? I mean, I keep saying that this is my favorite statement. We may be, competitors from a business point of view, but internally we are all co-creators. Let's continue to co-create, share the best value and practices, because again, no point reinventing the same wheel at every GCC level. Let's leverage what A, B, C, D would have done, and they can learn from what I have done. That is how we fast track and accelerate the GCC journey and the value creation.
I think it calls for a lot of leadership, but on that note, thank you very much for being a very patient audience, and please give a big round of applause to this fantastic
So Rohan's done half my job already. But yes, they did deserve a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. But thank you.